Right in the heart of my veggie garden bed, there's this hole. Plugged into it is a pipe, a simple white PVC one protruding about 4 inches above the soil, capped with a basic plastic lid. My neighbors figure I've gone off the deep end. My fellow gardeners quit prying after some time, but here's the truth they all miss. That drab, ordinary-looking pipe is steadily churning out the priciest fertilizer on the planet each day, gratis, right at my plant's roots, without me so much as twitching a muscle. Forget flipping compost heaps, lugging bulky fertilizer sacks from the shop, dealing with spreaders, precise measurements, or rigid timetables. It's merely a pipe, buried in the dirt, tied to a method so ancient, refined, and ruthlessly effective that today's fertilizer giants have worked for decades to keep it off your radar. Folks usually see composting as a grind. You give up yard space for a bulky bin tucked away. You endure the stench each time you lift the cover. You forfeit your weekend mornings to stir, blend, and bide your time, and even then, you must dig it up and tote it back to your crops. Imagine if the whole setup was flawed from the start. Picture if somebody cracked a method for the planet to handle every phase unseen, below ground on nature's own clock. That's precisely what this pipe achieves. Once you grasp the science driving it, you'll never eye a fertilizer sack the same. This isn't some fresh gimmick. It's among the planet's most ancient farming hacks, intentionally shoved aside around mid-20th century. The Aztecs mastered it. Ages before lab-made fertilizers, Mesoamerican societies grasped that earthworms powered their earth from below. They left them be. They didn't uproot them. They designed their plots to harness them, allowing scraps to rot right in the soil, so the worms could perform their timeless role. Fast forward to the 1880s. A reserved, fanatical British researcher devoted his final 40 years to probing earthworms. Charles Darwin. He's the guy, famed for evolution. Yet he ranked his last tome, a thorough dive into worm habits and dirt overhaul, as a career pinnacle. He demonstrated beyond doubt that earthworms, not precipitation or sun, are soil fertility's chief builders. That insight didn't vanish, it got sidelined. Post-World War II, those explosive factories sought fresh outlets. They switched to nitrogen fertilizers, and suddenly, farming talk flipped from living soil ecosystems to chemical fixes. From nurturing biology to swapping it with man-made substitutes, agribusiness convinced farmers, and later backyard growers, that riches sprang from packages, not the earth itself. Thus, the worm faded from view. Not due to bad science, but because the facts clashed with endless seasonal sales. What Darwin established and industry dismissed explains why my garden pipe delivers. Its inner workings are odder and sharper than you'd guess. Now the fun part. Earthworms lack sight or hearing, but they've got something better for our goal. A hypersensitive chemical sensor across every inch of their skin. They read their surroundings via soil's humidity and chemtrails. Top draw for them? The aroma of rotting organics. Toss in a banana skin or coffee grounds through that PVC pipe and snap the lid shut, and breakdown kicks off pronto. Bacteria assault the stuff, pumping out key volatile gases via the pipe's drilled openings into the nearby dirt. Those gases spread through soil water like a stealthy, gradual alert, and every nearby worm picks it up, heading straight over. No aimless strolls. Soil studies confirm worms zero in on eats with eerie precision, tracking chem paths like sharks chase blood in the sea. The pipe turns into a hub, a fixed buffet, drawing worms from far past your bed's borders. They slip in via the holes, munch in the cavity, then crucially, they exit. Those earthworms slip back out via the same openings and weave throughout your root zone, breaking down organic matter along the way, loosening the soil with each burrow they dig, and dropping their castings, scientists' term for worm poop, in a steady path, right where your plant's roots are thriving. That's the beauty of this setup. The pipe doesn't trap the nutrients. It creates a magnetic draw that spreads them across your whole bed via the worm's own travels. You're not making a compost heap. You're crafting a worm superhighway, complete with a central pit stop. And what they deposit in your dirt is gold that no fertilizer brand wants you calculating on your own. Let's crunch the numbers now. Worm castings, aka worm poop technically, go for $15 to $30 per 5-liter bag at typical garden shops. If you've grabbed one and checked the label, you know it's pitched as top-shelf, near-luxury plant food. But the cost reveals only part of it. The real puzzle is what justifies that premium. It's something chemical fertilizers can't touch. Conventional synthetics revolve around the NPK trio, nitrogen, phosphorus, potassium, listed on every package. They dump those in quick dissolve form that surges the soil, sparks a growth spurt, then washes out with rain. Plants get a rush, crash, and crave more. It's engineered addiction. Worm castings operate differently. Their nutrients sit locked in a slow-release bio package, feeding roots bit by bit as the plant demands, not in one dump. Plus, beyond NPK, they pack live microbes, bacteria and fungi, that buddy up symbiotically with roots. They hold natural growth boosters like auxins and cytokinins, spurring root expansion and toughening plants against stress. They bring humic acids that tweak soil texture, letting sandy ground hold water better and heavy clay loosen up. A 2011 study in Applied Soil Ecology showed even tiny doses of castings in potting mixes beat synthetic fertilizers for seedling emergence and initial vigor. It's not mere feeding, it's a microbial chat between castings and roots, and your pipe is churning out this stuff for free, straight into the hungriest root spots. The underground plant's humming. You just need to switch it on. Time to assemble. The supplies are ridiculously basic, which explains why skeptics tuned to pricey gear overlook it. Grab a PVC pipe section, 4 to 6 inches across ideally, or a lidded plastic bucket from any hardware spot for pennies. Size counts for holding decent scraps without daily top-ups, yet keeping decay speedy via tight microbe crowds. Sink it so 2/3 vanishes below ground, leaving about 4 inches poking up as your feed chute. For standard veggie beds, 18 to 24-inch lengths nail it. That positions the base in steady moisture worm central, usually 10 to 16 inches deep by climate. Drill first, standard. Bit 1/2 to 3/4 of an inch. Pepper the bottom 2/3 all around, holes 2 to 3 inches apart randomly. No sieve here, just wide open gates for worms to zip every which way. More portals mean more worm flow. More flow means castings scattered farther. For the pipe's base, pick your play. Fully open lets worms climb from below and leach decomposition juices, nutrient-rich liquid, right into nearby soil. Alternatively, you could loosely cover the pipe's base with mesh or landscape fabric. This blocks bigger chunks of debris from blocking the bottom, yet lets worms slip through easily. Either method succeeds. Leaving it open is easier and a touch better for worm traffic. Place the pipe right in the middle of your planting bed if your setup permits. That way, you extend the reach as far as possible, so worms venturing out from the feeding area weave through the roots of the most plants before dropping their castings. With it buried and the lid secured, your setup is done. Yet the way you nourish it dictates its success entirely. Most folks nail feeding right away or pick up subtle habits that sabotage the operation over time. The guideline is straightforward, though understanding why it works is worth detailing. Pretty much any uncooked kitchen scraps fit the bill. Veggie and fruit trimmings, banana skins, apple middles, limp lettuce, coffee dregs, tea bags minus staples. Smashed eggshells, modest portions of plain boiled rice or noodles, plus ripped cardboard or newsprint for moisture control. These break down at a pace worms can follow, emitting soil signals steadily to hold your worm crew close to the pipe. What's left out counts just as much. Meat, seafood, and dairy trigger a bacterial process, yielding ammonia levels that push earthworms away instead of drawing them in. Oily, saucy, or spiced cooked dishes do the same. Too much citrus rind spikes acidity, upsetting the chamber's microbe harmony. And pesticide or herbicide-tainted items, even certain store-bought produce bits, can poison the worms you're aiming to boost. Stick to fresh, plant-only scraps, and the setup self-manages. Feed every couple of days for steady breakdown, though it handles week-long pauses fine without failing. Departed worms during downtime come back once things pick up. This pipe stays a fixture in your bed, not some fragile gadget that quits if you skip a turn. Signs of success show up after a few weeks. Worm castings piling up visibly in the chamber, soil around the pipe turning richer, darker, and fluffier than elsewhere, and nearby plants surging ahead of the pack in growth that's tough to rationalize for skeptics. The top error? Stuffing the pipe quicker than the inner microbes can handle. If lifting the lid hits you with a sharp stink instead of that good, earthy mushroom aroma of thriving decay, cut back additions and toss in some dry cardboard or leaves to fix the carbon-nitrogen mix. All the output happens quietly below ground, needing just your would-be trash. That's the sort of insight big industries wish stayed buried. If you've hung in this long, you've grasped a trick. Decades long, gardeners often miss, not from complexity or you're needing fancy gear or talent, but because turning table leavings into Earth's best free fertilizer endlessly via 500-million-year-old biology wrecks the sales pitch of every firm peddling plant food. Economics, not plots, keep it hushed. Sharing this clip isn't helping me. It's a quiet rebellion. You're handing knowledge to folks who've shelled out for fertilizer bags yearly without a second thought. Each viewer who installs a pipe shrinks that market by one. If joining that shift appeals, subscribe. Not for my stats, but since every vid here pushes the idea that top food-growing hacks are long found, usually gratis, and rarely the hyped products. Next up, I'll demo something that dwarfs this pipe. A method to revive utterly barren, packed-down, lifeless dirt in less than 60 days, relying solely on scraps that folks usually toss out. No digging required, no shop-bought fixes, just nature's biology operating as it always has. Trust me, you can't afford to skip it. If this eye-opener on the earthworm's concealed strength has reshaped your approach to gardening, hit subscribe and give it a thumbs up. I'm exposing the farming legacy and natural wonders the big industry wanted forgotten. Together, let's build a truly independent tomorrow in our gardens. Your plot's next game changer drops soon.